Some pictures. I'll just copy a few pictures over just to show an example. These can be folders full of pictures. You can set up a whole structure. So I've got 7 or 8 pictures here highlighted. So I'm going to take them and drag them over to this window, and it's going to copy them right over the network. Now obviously the faster your network connection, the faster this copying process is going to go. Right now this is on a 100 megabit wired Ethernet connection. I plan to soon enough go gigabit, because gigabit not only are gigabit switches extremely cheap, you can get one for 30 bucks on Newegg, TrendNet brand I believe, but gigabit network cards are like 9 bucks, and most newer motherboards are coming with gigabit networking on board. My motherboard in my personal machine, again the one behind this monitor, actually has dual gigabit Ethernet on board. But should you need to you know, you want to put gigabit Ethernet in the freenas box so that you'll have, you know, 10 times the speed of a 100 megabit network connection, all you got to do is buy yourself one of those $10 TrendNet cards, gigabit cards off of Newegg, and, you know, a couple dollars shipping, and you're all set. A $30 switch and a $10 card, maybe a few $10 cards for the computers around your house, and you're good to go. But not only is this network connection, is this network share available to people on the wired network, but if you have it attached to a wireless router like I do, it's also available to any wireless device, any wireless computer, any wireless device that's attached to the network. That means that your home theater PC, if it's got a wireless connection, that means your iPods, your iPads, your iPhones, your anything, iDildo, whatever, it's all ready. I can't believe I just said iDildo. I'm gonna have to bleep that out. I'm getting way too sleepy. My point is, it's all accessible. How cool is that? Now, network storage has been around for a long time. Don't get me wrong. Some of you old nerds out there are going, golly, we had this, you know, in our offices in you know, 20 years ago. This is true. But home-based network storage is a very, very new thing. And some companies are really trying to rake in the money, you know, trying to sell big setups for $600 and $700 that only have, you know, a 500 gigabyte or a 1 terabyte drive in them, and they're basically, they're little devices that run hot, prone to failure, non-customizable. Half the time you can't upgrade the drives in them, and half the time they won't work with the network equipment you already have. Having a freenas box, again, freenas is totally, completely, absolutely free, hence the name, freenas. It's based off of FreeBSD, a completely open source, publicly supported, programmer supported operating system. So all you need is freenas, some old junky computer parts, and maybe invest some money on a bigger hard drive and a gigabit card, and you've got your own awesome home networking box. Now, the cheaper and crappier the hardware, the better. FreeNAS will run on as little a machine as an old Pentium 60 or an old Pentium 90. As long as it has 128 megs of RAM, it's happy. So, you don't have to have a top-of-the-line machine. To be honest, this 1.8 gigahertz Pentium 4 is kind of overkill for, but I just happen to, it's what I have laying around. I don't keep any of the older machines around anymore. I use those for target practice out on the gun range. So, there you go. I mean, how awesome is that? So all I have to do now is, well, in theory, I put this machine back together. Again, as you can see, it's completely headless. If the power ever goes out, or you need to shut down the machine. You can safely hit the power button on the machine, and the machine supports software power down. So what it'll do is you'll hear say you need to move the machine. Well, you push the power button, and you'll hear a little bloop, and that'll be your sign that FreeBSD is shutting down, that FreeNAS is shutting down. And after about 10 or 15 seconds, you'll see the machine completely shut off. You'll know it's safe to move. You move it. All you got to do is plug the network back in, plug the power back in, and hit that power button. And as long as that CD is in there, and as long as that floppy disk is in there, you're good to go. It'll power itself back up. It'll boot back up. And if you wait about anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute, depending on what FreeNAS needs to do and FreeBSD needs to do to check out your hardware, you should hear a bloop, a little chirp, letting you know that your network drives are now up and running and it's safe to access them and that everything went okay. You have no need to hook up a keyboard, a mouse, a monitor, or anything to this machine. All you need is the power connection and the network connection. How cool is that? So, again, as with my FreeNAS box, which this is our example FreeNAS box that I just put together just for this how-to. My real FreeNAS box is sitting right here. Again, my real FreeNAS box is actually an IBM ThinkCenter, very close to a NetVista. It looks exactly like it. It has a 500 gig drive, 240 gig drives, and a 160 gig drive in it. And it's still got room for one more serial ATA drive. How cool is that? Again, I leave this machine hooked up in here just like this, with just the power and just the Ethernet hooked up, and I leave the doors closed, and it doesn't even get hot. It doesn't even get hot at all, because the CPU has nothing to do 90% of the time, so it runs in a completely low power state. I mean, how awesome is that? So you can hide this box anywhere. Hide it behind a cabinet. Hide it behind your desk. Hide it behind your big flat screen monitor. Hide it in a closet. You can have a whole closet full of FreeNAS servers. That is awesome. As long as you have a switch with enough ports, you can have as many FreeNAS servers as you want. Or you can have one big huge tower case with a motherboard with enough PCI slots and enough serial ATA expansion cards. You can have one giant FreeNAS server with 20 drives in it. The options are limitless, and that's just touching, you know, I gotta check my time limit. Oh, I'm doing good. That's just touching on the things that FreeNAS can do.